remember watching CNN during the 2020 election and my jaw dropped looking at the margins in Florida. For example, Miami-Dade, a majority Latino county, had an incredible swing to the right, and this almost made me think that Trump was for sure gonna win a second term. Now, a big question in politics is, are Latinos trending to the right? And here are the reasons why Latinos are moving to the right. The obvious reason is Trump, of course, but it stems from much deeper. This hatred towards anything close to socialism stems from the communist and socialist regimes in Latin America from the 20th century, for example Cuba with Fidel Castro, and recently in Venezuela with Maduro in the 21st century. Many people from Cuba and Venezuela and more nations were scarred by these regimes, which have made their country fall into chaos and corruption. So when they hear on the news about democratic socialists like Bernie Sanders, or likely future presidential candidates, AOC, and others, of course, they are repulsed by them, and this is why they tend to vote for the Republican Party, the party that goes against any form of socialism. Which is why if Bernie or any other Democrat socialist had won the nomination in 2020, Democrats would have lost swing states and other states in the Sun Belt like Florida by a likely margin. Another big reason why Latinos are moving to the right is due to religion. Bear in mind, a lot of Latin Americans have a lot of faith in God. Many Latin Americans are mostly traditionally socially conservative, with many being pro-life to a certain extent. Many Latinos, even though they might agree with the fiscal policies of the Democrats of today, there's a decent chance they will vote for the GOP just because they are the party of pro-life. Which is why it should not be a surprise that they would align closer to the religious right, a key part of the Republican Party. But don't forget, Latinos' fiscal policies can vary a lot. Furthermore, the anti-socialist voting bloc that Trump cultivated in 2020 made this demographic have insane turnout. Trump called Joe Biden a socialist and gained so many votes from Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Vietnamese, and more people. And bear in mind, Latinos are a broad voting bloc with different voting trends. For example, Latinos with Mexican ancestry are the Democrats' strongest demographic, while Cubans who've dealt with socialism are voting more and more for the GOP. Trends-wise, since 2008, the Obama landslide win. For example, Florida has moved to the right every single election since, and with current trends, expect Florida to become a Republican stronghold for the long term. But if Democrats keep failing to attract Latino voters, then expect states not only like Florida, but states like Nevada to be out of their reach. Nevada, especially with a high Latino demographic, could be flipped if Democrats keep failing over and over again to attract Latino voters. Another thing you also have to factor is the Democratic Party failures to fulfill campaign promises. Many Latinos feel disappointed by Democrats. They have campaigned on many reforms, which either did not happen or only went to a certain extent. Another factor why Latinos have moved to the right is because Democrats keep moving more and more to the left, as seen in the short span of around 20 years. The Democratic Party of Bill Clinton and Al Gore were so much different to the Democratic Party of today, as seen with their rhetoric, for example, on abortion by Bill Clinton being
abortion is safe and legal, but rare.
Compare that to the modern day where none of the 2020 Democratic presidential candidates were pro-life and nowhere even close to the center.
We codified Roe v. Wade.
Another example is Joe Manchin, who was just another Democrat in the Clinton days, but now is seen as a conservative or even as a GOP spy by many left-wing Democrats today. Furthermore, another abysmal failure by the Democrats has been Latinx, with an absolute majority of Latinos seeing it as offensive and as linguistic appropriation. I've never heard any Latino prefer this term, like myself, who is Hispanic. And the worst part is that the word can't even be pronounced in Spanish. Continue on this path and the Latino vote will flip to the GOP. You know, the Democrats have the tools to appeal towards Latinos and many other people. After all, they are the party of FDR, JFK, Bill Clinton, and more. After all, they are the party that led during World War II and gave many Americans social security. They are the party that fought against communism and successfully dealt with the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the party that led through the prosperous golden 90s. Here's the thing, as long as Democrats don't emphasize their social beliefs, they can appeal extensively not only to Latinos but to a wider range of voters. But sadly, with current management, I highly doubt this happens. The future is looking decent if you are a Republican, since with current trends the Latino vote could flip within this decade as long as the Republican Party is united and the Democrats keep failing. And all that talk of which the Republican Party will not be able to survive due to the minority population becoming the majority in the future is simply just not true, as seen in Florida and many other places. Overall, with current trends and the Democrats' abysmal failure to appeal to Latinos, it's only logical that the GOP takes advantage of this opportunity, swooping in and making the Latino vote a part of its coalition. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video.